Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about one of the mid-century's most outstanding philosophers, Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes was a prominent philosopher as well as political theorist of the 17th century. He was born on 5th of April in 1588 near Malmesbury in Wiltshire, England, which is the northern part of England for the fact, and went on to attend Oxford University where he graduated at the age of 19. Hobbes' life was marked by a series of intellectual and political challenges, but despite that fact, he remained committed to his ideas throughout his career. Hobbes died of a stroke in 1679 at the age of 92. At Oxford, Hobbes appears to have followed his own state of mind, as he did not complete his BA degree until 1608. But he was recommended by Sir James Hussey, who was his master at Magdalen, as tutor to William, the son of William Cavendish, Baron of Hardwicke, who later became Earl of Devonshire. Thomas began a lifelong connection with that family. Hobbes became a companion to the younger William, and they both took part in a grand tour in 1610. Hobbes was exposed to European scientific and critical methods during the tour, in contrast to the scholastic philosophy which he had learned in Oxford. His scholarly efforts at the time were aimed at a careful study of classic Greek and Latin authors. One of his greatest achievements was his translation of Thucydides' History of the Peloponnesian War, the first translation of the work into English from a Greek manuscript. In his later years, Hobbes focused on writing his philosophy, which is still widely read and discussed also today. His major works include a three-part series on philosophy, including De Corpore, De Homine, and De Sive. Hobbes' most famous work is Leviathan, or Matter, Form, and the Power of a Commonwealth, Ecclesiastical and Civil, in which he outlines his ideas on the nature of the state, the social contract, and individual rights, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. During the English Civil War, which erupted in 1642, Hobbes fled to Paris, where he continued to write and work on his philosophy. In 1651, Charles II was defeated by Oliver Cromwell, and Hobbes presented Charles II with a copy of Leviathan. However, those around Charles believed that Hobbes' work supported Cromwell, and Hobbes was forced to flee to England. In 1616, the English monarchy was restored, and Hobbes regained his students' favor, but in 1666, the House of Commons introduced a bill against atheism and blasphemy, singling out Hobbes' Leviathan. The bill resulted in Hobbes being forbidden from publishing his History of the English Civil War, Behemoth, but despite these challenges, Hobbes remained a respected philosopher and political theorist until his death. Now, besides his lifelong journeys and stuff, I'm going to talk about his uh, Hobbes' assumptions and point of views about the general subjects of mankind. Hobbes believed that all men seek to avoid death and injury, and that the desire for a happy life leads men to seek sufficient power to ensure that happy life. He argued that this restless desire for power leads to an equality of hope in the achieving of our aims, and that without a power able to enforce rules, there is chaos and misery. Hobbes identified three causes of conflict. The first one is that men fight for gain. The second one is that men fight for security. And the third one and the last one is that men fight for reputation. Furthermore, he believed that everyone is pulled into a constant competitive struggle for power, which leads to a state of war of all against all, also known as the state of nature. In the state of nature, people are insecure and live in a constant fear of injury and death. There is no place for industry in the state of nature because the fruit of it is uncertain. Hence, there is no agriculture, navigation, building, culture, or science. In other words, as Hobbes would said, uh, life in a state of nature is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Hobbes viewed himself as the first political philosopher, and he believed that his predecessors' errors caused sedition, anarchy, and civil war. He argued that the distinction between virtue and vice, which was apart from sovereign authority, encouraged individuals to judge privately and act outside of the constraints of the civil law. This private judgment eventually leads to the chaos of the state of nature. Similarly, badly constructed metaphysical systems encourage people to fear divine punishments more than the punishments of civil authorities. Hobbes grounds his political science in natural law and is considered the father of natural right. He was also the first political philosopher to ground his political thought in natural philosophy. He argued that those seeking to govern a whole nation must understand human passion and know themselves. Here you can see Hobbes' most famous book, Leviathan, which is regarded as one of the earliest examples of social contract theory, as well as most influential one. And here I want to mention that he believed that chaos or civil war situations identified with the state of nature and the famous motto bellum omnium contra omnes, which means the war of all against all, could only be averted by strong central government. He strongly believed in that argument. According to Hobbes, the beginning of motions in the human body is called endeavor. And when endeavor moves towards its cause, we can call it appetite or desire. But when it moves away from its cause, it's called aversion. Uh, Deliberation is a weighing uh, of appetites and aversions. Deliberative hedonism explains the order of the universe in terms of a calculus of pleasure and pain. Felicity emerges from fulfilling desire and requires constant motion. The motion of mankind is perpetual and restless desire for power after power that ceases only in death. Hobbes make a conclusion that man is a wolf to his fellow humans, and this leads the state of nature to the state of war. Humans are equal because of the fact that even the weakest has sufficient strength to kill the strongest one. Humans can also contract with others to secure their rights. And additionally, quarrels are emerging among men because of competition, diffidence, and glory. This state of nature prohibits civilization. It's also important to mention that. And Hobbes' natural philosophy, I can say that it's used as a basis of his political philosophy. It's not altogether clear that politics is not natural, but Hobbes is attempting to do away with Aristotle's doctrine of essences to eliminate the private moral judgment that seems to be the source of war. Hobbes believes that survival is the most important thing for states in a state of nature. There are no limits on what can be done in a state of nature to advance this desired end. And hereby in the end, I want to mention that important. I think that it's important fact to mention about Hobbes, Thomas Hobbes, that after 4 years later, after his death, as I've already said in the beginning, Hobbes died of a stroke in 1679 at the age of 92. And 4 years later, Oxford University condemned at birth Hobbes' De Sive and Leviathan, indicating the controversial nature of his ideas. But despite this, Hobbes' legacy as a philosopher and political theorist has stood the test of time, for sure, and his ideas continue to influence modern world as well. Here you can see the sources that I've used to create this presentation and this video in general. But of course, I've interpreted Thomas Hobbes' point of views and tried to simplify it. And in the end, I want to say thank you who watched this video. Thank you for attention, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that you got the comprehensive information about Thomas Hobbes. Thank you very much.